So, finding a quick tutorial about 3D designing can actually be a huge challenge. On the one hand, you have to choose a 3D software that you feel more comfortable. And then, on the other hand, if you're a beginner in 3D designing, all 3D softwares are just so complicated, right? So, what are the best 3D softwares for easy and speed modeling? In this first Designwagoon tutorial, I would like to share with you my favorite 3D software, and we're gonna create a basic plane right now. Hello, this is Cengiz from Designwagoon channel. In this tutorial, we're going to create a basic plane like this one. First of all, we have to choose a 3D model workspace to create this basic plane. And in Fusion 360, there are lots of ways to create 3D models. If you want to create organic shapes, we have to choose Create Form workspace. And this plane will be our first example of an organic shape. If we check the timeline, we can select the Edit tab to get inside the form model. We can see all faces, edges and vertices that we can manipulate as we want. And if we select display mode as a box display, or you can press Alt-1 keys from keyboard for a quick way to do this, we can see all faces and edges in a box modeling view. In Fusion 360, T-splines modeling works very smoothly and we can quickly create very cool models using smooth display. The keyboard shortcut is Alt-3. After we finish the modeling process in Form workspace, we can get solid models in our computer-aided design software, and we can easily manipulate all solids and organic models that we created in Fusion 360. And now we can quickly start to create a basic plane just like that. Let's open a new design. First of all, if you want to open grids on our scene, you can check this layout grid box. There are lots of ways to create 3D models using Fusion 360, such as solid, surface, sheet metal modeling, or form modeling. In this tutorial, we have an example for form modeling, or another name is T-spline modeling. We can make organic models using this workspace, and firstly, we can choose a box from the toolbar. We have to choose a box to start modeling our plane body. Firstly, we have to select a plane, then we can click the origin point. We'll start to create a basic rectangle. We already have an organic model as a box. First, I like to decrease the number of edges to just one edge, and now click. To activate a different display mode, we can select Utilities and Display Mode from the toolbar. I will choose Box Display. Alt-1 is shortcuts, because it's easier to understand organic modeling techniques in box display mode. If you want to create a symmetric model, like we need for our plane, we can select the symmetry from the toolbar. We'll use the Mirror Internal tool to create a symmetry on two different sides of our body. It's so easy to define symmetry on a body. First, we have to select a face that we want to assign a symmetry side to. Secondly, we have to select other face that we want to assign symmetry to. To make sure that it works well, we can check the green lines between the two faces. After we see these lines, we can symmetrically design our body. Now, we can select the Modify Edit Form button to design the wings of our plane, or right-click and select the Edit Form much faster, which is the way I prefer. This manipulator is very handy to change selected faces positions, or we can rotate and scale up or down selected faces, edges and vertices. First of all, we can try to move faces. It works perfectly so we can see the symmetry movements in our box. Now I would like to create motor parts in our basic plane. To do this, we'll use some kind of extrude techniques. The important thing is that we have to push and hold the Alt button on our keyboards. Now we can pull the arrow in the x-axis. This is very basic and important form modeling technique to create new faces in the body. To continue modeling motor parts, we have to create new faces on the front side using the same technique. The point tool in the center of the manipulator is scale up or down for 3 dimensions. I'm holding Alt button on the keyboard at the same time slowly sliding scale point in the center. To create a depth of the inner part, we have to move the arrow in the z-axis inside, just a little bit, while pressing and holding Alt key, because I like to create a sharp transition in the edge of motor parts. And then we can again move the arrow through the push it inside, as you know, holding Alt key to create new faces. For the last time, I'll push the arrow just a little bit while I'm holding Alt key on the keyboard to create a sharper edge at the end of the motor part. And now we basically created the motor parts, but I like to change the dimensions a little bit. We can use a super easy way to select vertices. I'll go to the Edit Form tab and Selection Filter. I'm selecting the vertex icon to navigate seeing just vertices in our scene. Now I'm selecting vertices that I want to change positions of. Then I'm pushing the arrow just a little bit on the x-axis. We can easily change all vertex positions using the same method. So, time to make wings for our basic plane. We have to add some edges to this face, otherwise we won't be able to easily edit this face. In the toolbar, the Modify section allows us to change our bodies to create more detailed shapes. I'm selecting Insert Edge to add new edge onto the face. It's very simple to create a new edge. I'll just click to the other edge of the face. Then the green edge shows us the position where the new edge will be. And I like to repeat my last step. When you want to repeat your last step in Fusion 360, you can right click your mouse, then it allows us to repeat by clicking this top icon. Now I can select the edge and I just want to make them closer. Then click OK. I just want to create new faces, right click and then Edit Form. We'll change the selection filter from vertex to face or all. After selecting face that we created using the Insert Edge tool, I'm pressing and holding Alt key. Then I'm pushing the arrow to make wings on both sides of our plane. As you notice, it's very important to use the Alt key to create new faces. To change the shape into a wing, I'll move the face through the Z-axis. It looks much better now. We can use the same method to create front of plane. After selecting the face, I'm holding the Alt key. Then I'm pushing the arrow just a little bit. As you know, I like to make a sharp transition there. I'm repeating the last step to create a new face using the Alt button. We have to scale down the tip of the plane, so I'm holding the center point of the manipulator by clicking the left mouse button. I prefer generally to look at different views of my design using View Cube in the top right corner. Now I select the left view from the View Cube. Then I'm changing the scene view from perspective to orthographic. I'm arranging the tip of the plane. We can finalize the shape of our plane to add a wing to the top. But we need to change something unlike the last steps where we created wings. When you want to add faces exactly on the symmetry section, I suggest you clear symmetry using the symmetry tool on the toolbar. To add new edges to the top face, I'm selecting the Insert Edge tool from Modify. After you determine the position of the first edge, you already know that we can use the repeat clicking the right mouse button. Now, time to extrude using Alt key. I'm selecting the face while I'm pushing and holding Alt key. I push the arrow through the Y-axis. After you arrange face height, you can push the arrow through the Z-axis to the back side of the plane. So, we already created a nice plane in a box modeling display. But there is a more exciting view with a smooth display. I'm selecting Utilities and Display Mode from the toolbar. Then I'm pushing the smooth display, or you can use the Alt-3 keyboard shortcut. And I think it looks more cool with a smooth display, right? Now we can select the finish form from the toolbar, and this way we'll get the 3D model data that we can use for any other modules like 3D printing, simulation, rendering, etc. I would like to add some texture to my plane. We can easily use Appearance tool for that. I'm pressing A on my keyboard. Then we can find lots of textures from the Fusion 360 library. I'm selecting Plastic Glossy folder. Then I'm choosing Red Appearance. It's very easy to assign to your body. Just drag and drop with your mouse, and that's it. Well, if you want to assign a texture to a face, you can drag and drop a white texture to one in this design section. Attention, for this part, I will change the Apply to section to Faces. Now you can easily drag and drop texture of a face that you want. I'll assign the white texture to some more faces. And of course you can try different appearances from the library. Just try to drag and drop. Also, if you double click to a texture in the design, you'll see the parameters for the appearance. Then you can change the color that you want exactly using RGB code or dragging color point icon. In addition, I like to create more detailed tutorials about texturing and rendering for you in the next weeks. In Fusion 360, we can quickly export our 3D models to use for 3D printer. It's very useful and user-friendly options for me. I'm selecting Tools from the top of the toolbar. Then I'm selecting the Make tool. After you select the body that you want to 3D print, you can find or add your 3D printer software to the Output section, or if you want to save as STL formats, just click OK. I hope you liked our first tutorial about form modeling in Fusion 360. And if you have any question about Fusion 360 or 3D designing, please just drop a comment below. We are also creating 3D printing concept videos on Instagram Designwagoon channel. You can also find the link below. If you'd like to see more tutorials about Fusion 360 and 3D designing, subscribe to the Designwagoon channel on YouTube. Hope to see you next tutorials.